New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
And yes, here we are, the good news. I'm Rev B, filling in tonight. Rev Briz is off doing fun stuff and having a little break. So I'm excited to be here and grateful to Diego to be in the back helping me out. So, well, we're going to start off with size doesn't matter. Well, when it comes to this incredible little dolphin and her giant baby, so off the coast of New Zealand, a group of marine biologists have discovered a mother bottlenose dolphin that adopted a baby pilot whale. So the Kiwi-based Far Out Ocean Research Collective discovered the mammals sailing in the Bay of Islands in North New Zealand and have now documented the pair on two separate occasions 5 weeks apart. Now, it's not unheard of that dolphins adopt other species of babies, but it's rare to record the phenomena with such a significant difference in species size. Bottlenose dolphins can reach 300 kilograms. It's a pretty big, no small fry, except that pilot whales can grow to 2 tons and reach 6 meters in length. So the idea is she may have lost her calf and then adopted a little whale that had maybe lost its mother. Hard to say. Anyway, they've noticed this in other times. In Polynesia, a bottlenose dolphin had adopted a melon-headed whale calf, and they stayed together for 3 years. So usually once the weaning is done, that's when they'll go their separate ways, because whales and dolphins have different hunting patterns, different ways of doing things. But they're thinking, maybe it's part of her personality, or maybe it's just that she missed her own little baby and needed another one. So don't really know for sure, but how cool is that? And on to really exciting news, a 3D printed ear. So in a major advance in the field of biological 3D printing, a firm has successfully transplanted a printed ear made from a patient's own stem cells. So it's like the real thing. Such a procedure has been theorized for over a decade, but demonstrations have never been carried out at the scale now being done by medical researchers at 3D Biotherapeutics. Their trial of 11 patients includes a 20-year-old woman who was born with congenital microtia, a disease that left her with a misshapen ear. And while previous such operations have involved 3D printing of prosthetics with silicone, in this case, her own stem cells were nestled in a bioink of collagen, printed into and shipped, printed into an air, shipped via cold storage, inserted under the skin. And wow, that is a big deal. That's pretty cool, actually. And who knows where that will go? Like, they may turn around somewhere down the way and go, hey, well, if we can do an ear, maybe we can do a lung, maybe we can do a heart, maybe, who knows, right? Lots of things can happen. But what's cool is they took a mold of her ear and then her good ear and printed the other one to match. So her two ears match, and that's amazing. And physicians who've treated thousands of children with macrotia across the country and around the world are inspired by this. Because imagine a little kid going to school, you know how kids can be. They'll tease, they'll bug, they'll bother, they'll. Anyway, this is a way of creating something for these children to be able to feel really good about themselves. And I think it's kind of a sweet thing. And for thousands of kids who go to school with an underdeveloped ear and being teased or whatever, this is going to be just absolutely awesome. So really, really cool thing. And who knows where it's going to lead. And I love this. Listening to music with groove beats. I'll tell you. Feeling inside my bones. It goes. Well, enough of my dancing. But the whole idea of music, when we listen to music with groove beats, it actually boosts our brain function. That was Can't Stop the Music by Justin Timberlake, one of my favorite songs. But dancing to musical rhythms is something, most of us do. And now researchers from Japan have found that musical beats don't just feel good. Hearing them also enhances brain function. So, in a study recently published in Scientific Reports, researchers from the University of Tsukuba have revealed that music with a groove can significantly increase measures of executive function and associated brain activity in participants who are moved by the music. So music that elicits the sensations of groove, a rhythm that induces the, wanting to move, you know what that is, like, I got the feeling. So it brings up pleasure, it enhances our behaviors, and it really is fun. So groove rhythms elicit groove sensations and positive affective responses. But whether they influence executive function was unknown. According to the study, they conducted that brain imaging to evaluate the corresponding changes in executive function and measured individual psychological responses. And to do this, they performed a near infrared spectroscopy. I don't know. Anyway, it was a way of them finding out what was happening, and the results were surprising. We found that groove rhythm enhanced executive function and activity, and in participants that the music elicited a strong groove sensation. So if you really love the music, you love the rhythm, it was going to help. So other findings indicated that individual differences in psychological responses modulate the corresponding effects of executive function. So strategies for enhancing executive function, well, wide range of potential applications, from preventing dementia in elderly people to helping employees enhance their performance. And for me, this is about remembering that my 17-year-old, when she's studying and I think she should have a quiet room, but she's listened to her jam tunes, well, maybe that's actually a good thing. It might be helping her to even do better. Who knows? So this could help to explain the many positive benefits of dancing or any other form of exercise that you do while listening to the music. And on that note, let's go to a commercial break, and the good news, we'll be right back.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome Om Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a special thanks to Hefferlin Foundation for your generous technology grant. And Suze Ajit, thank you for your very generous donation. And a super special thank you to Dr. Tracy Brown, RSCP. Thanks for being a super donor. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
Oh, and we're back with more good news. Well, this story really touched my heart. It's a young woman, a Russian woman, is trying to become the legal guardian of a friend she made while volunteering at a care home. 27-year-old Nina Torgashova was admitted to a psychoneurological care home when she was 18. Then, when COVID-19 hit Russia, a charity called Life Fruit lobbied to allow people at state-assisted living facilities to move out to apartments. They could be accompanied by volunteers, and that would help protect them from mass infection within the facilities. So 31-year-old Irina Miratova has been volunteering at Nina's care home for years, and the pair have always got along well. And while Nina struggles with math and literacy, Irina noticed that she's a really quick learner who's well adapted for day-to-day life. So Nina was a very active person at the care home, and she took part in various creative activities, amateur dramatics, arts, crafts, workshops, and sporting events like darts and play football. And once they'd moved into the flat together, their friendship blossomed like a meadow in spring. How cute is that? Well, admittedly nervous about taking Nina in, the pandemic has had its stresses for Irina. She had to take a pay cut and has been working from home as a market research expert. She quickly found that her new best friend could cook, go shopping, and do most things on her own. So what a gift that is. Irina hired a math tutor to help Nina make calculations, and suddenly an important skill, she was now shopping independently. So she was helping her with reading and writing. And after the lockdown ended, the pair had a tough challenge ahead since Nina didn't want to go back to her facility. So this amazing woman decided that maybe she should adopt this young woman so that she wouldn't be stuck in an institution for the remainder of her life, but that she could live out in a beautiful home with someone who cared and loved for her and be able to do things that were, like the rest of us do. So she says in the interview, maybe I'm just the type of person that's not afraid of responsibility. It is an unexpected, but actually a good thing that has happened to me. She said, I love her. And there's not much to it. I love her very much. Oh, so beautiful when we see people really reaching out to someone else and going above and beyond. And that's exactly what Irina has done for Nina. And this one's kind of fun. A son who was given up for adoption at birth in Utah meets his biological mother. But what's hilarious is the two of them worked in the same hospital and didn't even know it. So he'd been working at St. Mark's for a while, and so was his biological mother, Holly Shearer. And they were in the same building at the same moment. They probably parked next to each other and even passed each other in the hallway and didn't know it. And he had, it'd always been a dream to meet the woman who he only knew as Holly. and his adopted family didn't think that was a bad idea. They actually said it was okay. He signed up for adoption registry, had DNA tests and stuff, and trying to find out who this woman was. And little did he know that Holly Shearer had never forgotten the child she put up for adoption as a teenager. She said, he was always on my mind, more so on holidays and his birthday, roller coaster of emotions. I thought about him all the time. And I know what that's like. I had a child at 16. I kept her. In fact, she was on my show this afternoon at 3. But it's like sometimes, you look at how hard that can be to raise a child at that age. And, she did a good thing. But she knew, she had found out about him. She kept her distance. She didn't want to throw a wrench into his life. But eventually she sent a happy birthday message to him. And it changed everything. He said, I was crying, making me emotional. I was crying. It was all very positive emotions. But to me, this is a day I've been waiting for the past 20 years. And to imagine it's finally happening. Wow. So tearful introduction of the two, discovered they worked in the same hospital. And it's led to, regular coffee breaks and taking time to be together and getting to know each other. He's described the whole process as very healing and encourages anyone looking to still meet their biological parents, keep up the search, adding that it feels he can begin to live the rest of his life without wondering. And, imagine the number of questions you would have if you never knew who your biological parents were. Well, and on that note, speaking of DNA testing, long lost sisters unite. This is a really interesting story because a woman took a DNA test, found a secret sister who looks exactly like her, shares the same hobbies and a job, and even has a matching tattoo, if you can imagine. 27-year-old Victoria knew she was adopted and took a home DNA test kit to find out more about her Hispanic heritage and her genetic makeup. And she was astonished when the results revealed she had a sister, and was sent a photo of the woman who looked just like her. Victoria, who was adopted when she was 2 months old, always dreamed of having an older sibling, but she couldn't believe her eyes on seeing the photo. And look at these pictures, right? At first, I was like, there's no way. I didn't think it was possible. And maybe they found someone that has some similarities to me, but I know now that's not how it works. She sent her sister a message, and well, they joined together on a call with her biological mother for the first time, showed her some photos of growing up with the adopted family, and lots of tears and lots of fun. Alice says of her sister, we live very parallel lives, even though we were given very different situations. It's not just their mutual love of Halloween, of Stephen King, of It and The Shining, ouch, she was fascinated by, but the fact that they both have bat tattoos on opposite feet, but on the same part of the ankle. Interesting. When she sent me the tattoo picture, I literally just dropped my phone, said Alice. They also both have cats and make and sell pet portraits online. Wow. Victoria said we both like hiking trails as well, and I'm going to show her all the cool ones around here in Chicago when they get together. So how amazing is that? Raised in different places with different parents, and boom, here we go. There's something in us, right? There's only one thing going on. Well, that sure illustrates it. And on that note, let's take another brief commercial break, and we'll be back with more fun, good news. So this is a really interesting story. Giving cash and therapy to men engaged in crime, and 10 years later, a surprise success. Well, what if I told you that investing roughly $500 for therapy, plus providing a little cash, helps some of the most troubled young men in West Africa reduce their crime and violence by half? And the results continued for at least 10 years. In the follow-up study, Chris Blattman and his colleagues calculated almost 350 fewer crimes per participant over the decades. That's $1.50 per crime averted, he claimed. That's pretty cool. It was the most unexpected project of my life, he said, and now it's changed the way cities tackle violence, from Bogota to Chicago. In 2009, he flew with his wife to Liberia for a 2-week spring break as she was doing research on reintegrating ex-fighters from the war. So Chris studies violence and wondered what he could do. So he called up Johnson Bohr. He was a combatant in the war and now ran some kind of NGO. He seemed to know everyone and be able to go everywhere. So what they talked about was this work that was being done. And you know, every time you get into some of these places where you're seeing lots of crime and lots of violence, we're kind of conditioned to just lock them up and throw away the key. But realistically, if we look at even what we believe in our spiritual communities, is that consciousness creates everything. It makes perfect sense that if we provide some tools, that maybe we can switch that around. So Chris, an economist and professor who studies global conflict at the University of Chicago, they wrote down exactly what these men would be doing during this 8-week program to transform their lives. And after some time, for 15 years through trial and error, Bohr and his colleagues had adapted it to address aggression and crime and toward adopting a mainstream social identity. And they recruited the most dangerous men in the city, people who led lives of violence. They met in abandoned buildings in groups of maybe 20 for a couple of hours a day. And Johnson had trained some counselors, and they eked out a living on the program, probably barely. But they learned to practice behavior changes like managing anger and difficult social interactions. They were also trying on and practicing a new identity. So dressing differently, getting a haircut, and just making a difference overall. And as they watched closely, you know, they were worried about the men buying drugs or investing in guns, but things looked really good. So they started working on this even more, ramped it up, raised some money, and they found out that crime, violence, and antisocial behaviors were slashed by about 50% among those who received the CBT and the cash. Receiving the therapy alone seemed to fade a little in its impact over time. Most of the evidence pointed to the economic assistance as being a big key to helping the men entrench their behavior changes and avoid a return to crime. It's interesting because in Canada, we actually did something similar, but what we did was with an entire city. And that city for 5 years was every person that lived there, 18 years and older, was given a living wage, whether they worked or not, whether they went to school. School was free. And what they found afterwards is there was a dramatic drop in the cost of healthcare, huge drops in healthcare, crime, massive drop in crime, and everybody was happy. They were doing work they loved. They were trained in things they enjoyed, and it made a really lasting difference. So when I saw this story, it reminded me so much of that by treating these people in a way with kindness, helping them to resolve some of their issues, but giving them a little bit of money so they wouldn't have to go out and steal, made a big, big difference. It was a huge, huge change that happened. So sometimes we just have to share what it is that we've got, share something so that we're not always taking, that we're not always thinking, bad people ought to be punished. But what if there's a reason why some of these things happen? Anyway, food for thought. Another story, a woman found $36,000 hidden away in a couch that she bought off Craigslist. So she gave it back. How sweet is that? Yeah, Mrs. Yumoto was given a $2,200 reward for her good deed and money she'll use to buy a new refrigerator. Oh, God has been kind to all my children, she said. They're all alive and well. I have 3 beautiful grandchildren, so what can I ever ask of God? Oh, I love that. And this one's cool. Rats trained to carry backpacks into earthquakes. Wow. They carry these backpacks into the earthquake so that rescue teams can talk to survivors. This innovative project was started by a 30-year-old scientist, Dr. Donna Keene from Glasgow, and so far 7 rats have been trained, taking only 2 weeks to get them up to speed. Woo, they are good. At the moment, homemade prototype backpacks containing a microphone are being used, and scientists are sending them into mock debris to try it. And the specialist backpacks containing microphones and video gear and location trackers are going to be used so that the rescue teams can communicate with survivors and find them, right? Because sometimes that's difficult too, is where are they? So this is very, very exciting. She was really fascinated by how quickly the rats could learn. And I think this is something that in a real situation, this may well be the answer to saving a whole lot of lives. So how cool is that? And one more, as summer approaches, avoid mosquito bites by changing the color of your clothes. Who knew? Light green, good. Red and orange, not so much. Black, leave it for winter. So talked about that human skin actually emits a red-orange signal, which they really, really like. They're 2 of their favorite colors. And so mosquitoes appear to use odors to help them distinguish what is nearby, like a host to bite. And when the smell-specific compounds like CO2 from our breath, that scent stimulates the eyes to scan for specific colors and other visual patterns and then head to them. So what color are you wearing this summer? You might want to think twice about what you're choosing. And that is this Friday's, and that's the good news. I hope you have a most wonderful weekend, and thank you for tuning in. This is the New Thought Media Network.